All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today I want to talk a little bit about the overall hypocrisy that is surrounding Stellar Blade currently right now, because as you guys are aware, when Stellar Blade first came out, it was one of those games that was attacked by every single gaming journalist out there. They attacked it because, quite frankly, they couldn't stand seeing an actual real female, right? They're so busy out there trying to make you feel bad for being attracted to an actual female with real feminine curves and everything that they tried to end up making this entire story about how, oh, this game is just, it's overrated. There's no reason for this game to be so high as it is. Gamers are just out here trying to own the wokies, own the libs, and they're just trying to fap to this character, blah, 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 whatever. This whole story. And Paul Tassi was one of them that did that as well. Well, apparently, according to Paul Tassi, he has done a complete 180. And he's not alone. He writes Stellar Blade, one of 2024's best games, is finally on sale.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind everybody that this is absolute hypocrisy at its finest. And it's not just Paul Tassi that's doing this. The entire mainstream journalist network is now suddenly trying to pretend as if they were always behind Stellar Blade. Oh, Stellar Blade, that amazing game. Yeah, we all love that game. That game was fantastic. It was one of the best of the year. They tried to absolutely lie about their original sentiments and about the overall discourse that was happening about this game, and they're trying to spin it to like they always liked it, which, by the way, we called this a long time ago. We said this months ago that this was going to happen. I specifically remember Grums making a post sometime around April, or I don't know if it was April, I think it was April, where he flat out said, like, they're going to switch up. They're going to switch it up the story. They're going to try to pretend like they always liked it once it became popular or okay to do so. So let's get into this article, guys, from Forbes. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push this out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, I want to be very clear before we begin. I have the screenshot of Paul Tassi's initial article that he wrote about Stellar Blade. This is the same person who is currently right now trying to say that Stellar Blade is one of the highest, one of the best games on PlayStation, right? All of a sudden now it's one of the best games on PlayStation. When he initially wrote back in May 1st of 2024, the following: Stellar Blade is now the highest user score PS5 game ever, which is a bit excessive, by Paul Tassi, where he was trying to essentially say the game is not as good as people are trying to make it to be. Whereas now, apparently, it's one of the best games of 2024 because Paul Tassi said so. And by the way, it's not even just Paul Tassi, like I said earlier in the video. It's also other outlets as well. You even have IGN saying save 30% off of Stellar Blade, one of the best PS5 exclusives of 2024 for Black Friday. So they're all trying to switch up their story and pretend like, oh, we suddenly love Stellar Blade. It's one of the best games ever. But let's see what he suddenly has to say and whether it's different or not. Well, it took all the way until Black Friday, but at least long last, Stellar Blade is finally on sale on the PlayStation Store. The discount's nice, knocking the price down to $50 from the full cost of $70, which has been since launch back in April. A sale that runs through December 2nd. It also comes in the wake of the game's nominations at the Game Awards for Best Action Game and Best Soundtrack. By default, Stellar Blade will lose Best Action Game to Black Myth Wukong, given the game is nominated for Game of the Year, while nothing else in the category is. This remains a very dumb part of the Game Awards, but I will personally argue it's better. Stellar Blade is probably my top 3 games of 2024. Really? Really? So Stellar Blade's one of your top 3 games of 2024, but you thought the user score was a bit excessive at the time that the game came out? Make that shit make sense. So it's not okay for the gamers to have it in their top 3 of 2024, but if Paul Tassi says, hey, I like it, it's in my top 3, then, oh, we're supposed to just bow down and accept that shit. He says, and I'd consider it one of the year's best, especially if we aren't counting expansions like Shadow of the Erdtree and End of Year lists, and he says, I'm not going to. The discourse around Stellar Blade has been entirely inescapable on the internet. Would it be considered a win for gamers pushing for more traditionally attractive women in games? While that's certainly true of its lead, Eve, this is a game for anyone who really enjoys solid action titles, and it's a whole lot of fun. Oh, wow. Wow, it's amazing the change up here. I'm extremely impressed with this game coming from Shift Up, where this is the first AAA title that they've ever made, and they really knocked it out the park. Even with limited distribution on PS5 alone, sales have been great, and expansions and a sequel is in the works. It really does feel like Stellar Blade is poised to be the current era's Bayonetta in more ways than one. Wow. Paul Tassi is out here even trying to compare it to Bayonetta, which, by the way, Bayonetta was also one of the characters that the Uranalist tried to hate on when she first existed. And then after a couple of years, they try to pretend like they always loved Bayonetta. Oh, Bayonetta is so amazing. We love Bayonetta. Yeah, that happened after the fact, right? When the whole hatred thing of Bayonetta blew up in their face. Well, now they're doing the same exact thing with Eve, where they tried to initially hate on Eve, calling her unrealistic after it was proven she was very realistic based off an actual real woman. And then they're out here trying to pretend as if now all of a sudden they love it. It's the best game ever. Oh, best one of 2024. What an absolute fucking joke. This is why these games, Uranalist, can never ever be taken seriously. They change up faster than I change my goddamn underwear. It's ridiculous. There are also very, very direct links to the game Nier Automata, which has led us to this month where Stellar Blade has launched an elaborate paid crossover with Nier, as the game's not only very similar in many ways, but the creators of each are friends and love each other's games. That pack, which includes a lot of outfits and other cosmetics, costs $10, so you could pick that up along with the $50 game. It would still cost less than it did originally, but obviously, you're probably going to want to play before you shell out for more costumes. Though, hey, if you do it early, you could play the entire game as 2B. I ended up putting around 60 hours into Stellar Blade across 2 playthroughs, as the game added a really solid new game plus mode with significant upgrades that made it worth running through again. It constantly adds new things like costumes, but also adds a boss rush mode, and now recently, much to the delight of fans, a photo mode. It's incredible. It's incredible to see the change up. I mean, look at the bottom here. I really do recommend it as one of the year's best games. It's certainly one of the year's best action games, even if it doesn't take home that Game of the Awards trophy. Bro, you're going to pretend like you weren't out here really writing this, bro? Is that what we're seriously doing right now? We're going to pretend as if you're not out here saying that the user score was a bit excessive and way too high? Are you fucking kidding me right now? So Paul Tassi could do all the praise in the world for Stellar Blade, but if you, the gamer, do all the praise in the world, well, that's just a bit excessive. That's not fair. That's not allowed. It's only because of the culture war. It's only because they're trying to own the chuds. You know what I mean? Like, bro, what are we doing? Can we stop this shit? Can we stop this obvious lie? They tried to do it with Dragon Age the Veilguard in reverse too, where they tried to praise it in the beginning and now they're all hating on it because they feel like the wind has shifted in that direction and it didn't go the way they thought it was going to go. So now they're trying to pretend like, oh yeah, the game has flaws. It has a lot of problems. They do this shit all the time. Games journalists are only going to go wherever their paid sponsors and the wind tells them to go. So if the wind goes in a direction where they have no choice but to admit that the game is fantastic, then they will, even though in the beginning they flat out hated it, and you have literal proof of that hate that you can utilize and showcase to everybody, like with this screenshot right here, which is obviously just a complete 180 change of pace between what he said in May and what he's saying now. For whatever that reason may be, I don't really know. I'm not going to pretend like he's being paid or whatever. I just think that he's following the wind like what most games journalists do at the end of the day. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.